Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Your boy Road Dogg here with none other than the man and the myth, the legend, Mr. Karl Bryan. Big Shoots, how are you, my friend?
Road Dogg, doing well, Shoots. What's going on, bud? What's happening that way?
Just living my best life, as I always like to say, and that's about. A little tired today, not gonna lie. Didn't sleep too well last night, so I'm gonna bring my B+ game today, just so you're all very aware. So there it is.
Buddy, you're a B+ rolling out of bed. You're an 8.5 rolling out of bed, and you're a B+ rolling out of bed. So
I appreciate that. And while we're on the flattery tour, listen, we were talking in the pre-show about possibly some sort of YouTube possibility coming in the future. Follow-up question for you on that would be, is this why you've started coming to work out with me twice a week? Is this part of the shtick, or is this like you're trying to make yourself look good? What's happening?
Yeah. Buddy, working out with you, it's making me look bad. Road Dogg lifts some bloody heavy weights, I'll tell you. So, but that may or may not be part of the motivation, Shoots. Everybody will have to stay tuned. You never know what's happening. You never know what's coming.
I'm thankful that you come over and you can dust off my baby weights for me. That's it is a good thing. So, listen, not even my wife lifts that light, so that's good. Glad that you could stop by, and we'll see you tomorrow, Tuesdays and Thursdays. There it is. All right. Hey, speaking of guaranteed to look good, look, for those of you that follow Karl on any sort of social media, you know that he is the absolute worst at predicting hockey scores. I'm not going to just stop at hockey. Like any sort of a sports prediction that you need, he is the worst. But speaking of guarantees, because he's all about the guarantees, you're like the Mark Messier of guarantees. Just that his worked out to my chagrin in '94. But anyways, first question, it has to do with guarantees in coaching. And the question is, do you recommend offering a guarantee for coaching? And if so, how do you manage that? That's a solid one right out of the gates, bud. Because we hear that a lot, right? So how would you handle that? And then again,
first of all, my betting prowess, underdog, away from home, always, folks. There you go. There's a betting tip, guaranteed to help you lose. Okay, so that's one I follow. Okay, so sorry. Recommend offering. So how do we manage a guarantee? Yeah, that's it.
That's the one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like the place that this question is coming from, because again, it's about getting the deal done. Like, I recommend you do whatever it takes to get the deal done, right? No deal, no opportunity to influence. Do you want to get your experiences, your passions, and your coaching out there? If you don't get the deal done, you don't get the deal done. And as soon as you stand up and walk away or hang up that phone, if you can't get the deal done in the intensity of the moment, don't think they're not going to talk to their wife and then come back and then say, I can't wait to get started. That's just not the way it works, right? You got to get that deal done. You got to say you got to do whatever it takes to get that deal done, right? And when you offer your guarantee, I think this might help, right? Stop thinking about you is the premise. The guarantee is not for you and how you can sell it. I want you to come from a place of love or protection of your client, so that what if you don't perform? What if it doesn't work? What if you give dogs, maybe you're just not experienced enough, or maybe that niche, like things sometimes just don't work out, and that's okay. And I think you'll find from a psychological point of view, like if it comes from a stronger place, it's going to work that much better. Remember, they struggle to make hard decisions, and that's why their life sucks, right? They're super judgmental, and therefore they're scared shitless to be judged, but they can't see that, right? I've sold hundreds and hundreds of coaching deals. And when I did, sitting, in wherever, like I've sold them in, living rooms, and I've sold them in kitchens, and I've sold them in offices, and I've sold them in boardrooms. I sold one. Remember, I sold a coaching deal, no joke, standing in a toilet, and I had like at that stage, I used to call it I basically had a booklet where it was a Q&A, like, Q&A, and I'm taking notes, and I literally had my notes. We were standing in a toilet, and I had my notes up on like a bunch of stacked Coke cans, right, or boxes of Coke. And I just did whatever needed to be done. You can imagine that one went pretty quick. The place smelled like crap, but whatever. We got the deal done, and I offered a money back guarantee. I offered it. We always offered it, by the way, and we very seldom had any issues. Right, like I could literally count on one hand the number of times we had issues. Partly clever paperwork, and part my coaches just worked their butts off. And we had a successful coaching system that worked, falling off a log. And then very importantly, we had a network of coaches where we would get together and discuss the different clients we were working with so that they would have like a competitive advantage versus any of the competitors, because they were brainstorming this specific business with a team of coaches as opposed to just going it alone. And remember, it's seldom rocket science. That the client doesn't have any goals. He doesn't have any time management skills. They've heard of 80-20, but they don't actually use it. And they think they do, which makes it worse. They use the squeaky wheel gets the oil formula. They have no upsells. They have no cross sells. They have no down sells. They have no upfront offer. They need the fundamentals, right? And if they're lacking staff, by the way, so they don't have, like staffing is their quote unquote huge problem, which is definitely a problem right now. I don't need to meet them. They don't take their staff seriously. They don't have a client or a staff retention program, right? Like all my key staff, I'd have all of them, like literally all of them for the better part of a decade, right? And we look after them, and they don't want to leave, right? Your clients, they put an ad on Indeed, offer the exact same thing as everybody else in the industry, and they call it recruitment, right? There's 4 things that motivate people. I've talked about this in previous editions, so I'll just kind of skim over it. But 4 things that motivate humans: rank, recognition, prizes, and then money. And they're in order, by the way: rank, recognition, prizes, money. Which one comes last? Money. Of course, they need to make enough, to get by, and they need to be making, like the average amount for the industry. But what will keep them around is their, rank, recognition, prizes, and money, right? Rank is, what are you calling them? Manager, vice president, etc. Recognition is a pat on the back. You go to McDonald's and there's the employee of the month. Prizes, when I say prizes, think competition, right? So the hair salon, we're in the lunchroom, there's a board, and it's like who sold the most shampoo, conditioner, and gel. It's right there and tracked. And then of course, money is money, which is pretty obvious, right? So look, okay, hang on. The question is about a guarantee and how to position it. Here's the secret sauce that we provide our coaches when it comes to that, right? So let's say that you charge $1,000 a month. Okay, how would you like to offer not only a money back guarantee, but a double your money back guarantee on a month-to-month basis, right? So all you need to do is earn them. If you charge $1,000 a month, you have to help them make an extra $167 extra dollars in month 1 to honor the double your money back guarantee. And if you charge $2K, what's that? $330. So $334 annualized. So $2,000 a month, right? So the hard part, and that's just 167 multiplied by 12. If you're sitting there trying to work out how I got it, it's not rocket science by any stretch. And you offer to, it's your double your, you will double that. You're going to pay you $1,000 a month, and you're going to guarantee $2,000 a month in results, right? So you annualize it is the secret sauce that I just went over, right? So the hard part of closing is just getting buy-in, getting the client to a place of certainty. Remember, curiosity will get you the appointment, and then certainty will get the deal done. Remember this: trauma moves adults, right? The lung cancer diagnosis, they magically stop smoking. Intense pain makes people move. So stop avoiding the pain and start moving into it. Okay, a business coach who cold calls for 90 days will always be successful. Why? Because they lent into the pain. The business coach that tells us they won't cold call, they can't cold call, blah, blah, excuse. And you don't need to cold call before you freak out, right? Whatever. But if you do, you've lent into the pain, where others are avoiding it, and you're going to be more successful than the others because it's psychology. It's your psychology that will get you to cold call for 90 days, nothing other, right? So look, your pain is your greatest leverage point, and it's the same for your coaching clients, right? So I don't know, like people say that they're fired up and then they don't do anything, right? Like your actions speak so loudly, we can't hear what you say. Actions tell the real story, not the words, right? So like look at religions as an example, right? Like the foundation of Buddhism is all life is suffering, right? Christianity is built off the crucifixion, and Judaism, my dad's a converted Jew, by the way. He married my stepmom, who's from Israel, but it's built on past pains like the Holocaust, etc. Right? Is that by accident? And the answer is absolutely no. So what am I saying? Take your client to a painful place while you're trying to sell them. The more pain that they experience in your sales process, the more you're guaranteed to move them. But here's the problem. You don't like taking them to a place of pain. Like when you sit with your coaching client, like if I make somebody cry, they are about to buy whatever I put in front of them. The end, drop the mic, walk away, just ask for the credit card. And is that a good thing, a bad thing? Look, if somebody, and I've done that countless times, right? Frankly, it's almost an easy, look, when you go to Tony Robbins, he gets 5,000 people laying on the floor, all crying and screaming. He does this intentionally, ridiculously, strategically. And the whole idea is he's taking you to an ugly place. He's taking you to a place of trauma so that you actually do something. Like that's his goal. That's his process. So again, do you need to make your coaching client, your prospect cry? No. But if you're moving in that direction, you're significantly further off than what most coaches do. Is they want to get in there, sing kumbaya. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is great. I can't wait to get started. We're going to make so much money. This is going to be so good. Oh my gosh, right? Like that there's a place for that, but that's not the foundation of your process whatsoever, right? So they teach them like the system that we teach and created through software. In fact, Road Dog, we just literally talked to one of our coaches on the pre-show about this just now, but it's a Q&A process, right? So you ask questions and then there's answers, right? So one of our clients was just saying that he's been doing this for ages, but he's using spreadsheets and he's like, wow, using software is going to be awesome. And again, the software's got 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences, so it populates a roadmap. So what does the process look like? Like, how do I think of it as I'm cutting your arm, cutting your arm, cutting your arm, cutting your arm? You're going to want a Band-Aid, right? When I offer it. So do you have a business plan, Road Dog? You say no, little cut. Do you have a marketing plan, Road Dog? You say no, little cut. Road Dog, do you know what a market dominating position is? He says no, little cut. I explain that, look, what you've got is a USP, or you don't even have a market dominating position is like a USP, but significantly stronger, right? So always using examples of what I'm describing. Road Dog, do you have any joint ventures in place? You go, what the heck is a joint venture? Little cut. I then give you an example. Do you have an offer, Road Dog? What's your upfront offer? Mine is that I can find the way that I got in here today, Road Dog, is that I guaranteed I can find you $100,000 in 45 minutes without you spending $1 on marketing or advertising. What's your equivalent? They get no idea. Boom, little cut. Do you have an upsell, Road Dog? Do you have a downsell, Road Dog? Do you have a cross-sell, Road Dog? Do you have an upfront offer, Road Dog? He's going, no. Do you know that margins are the magic pill of the greatest brands of all time, like Ferrari, Apple, Louis Vuitton, etc.? Do you realize that margin is the secret sauce or a recurring revenue bundle? Do you actually have one, right? And of course, they say no. And I'm asking Road Dog as an example here, and it's just little cut, little cut, little cut, little cut, right? So look, the bottom line, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole there. If you guarantee $2,000 a month, and again, you charge $1,000 a month, and then you're doubling it, you just need to find them $167 that month. And if you charge $2,000, that's going to be $334 approximately in additional revenue. And again, you take 167, you multiply it by 12, and that's going to be a little over 2,004 per month. So that's it. So Road Dog, that's my answer, Shoots. That's how you do it. But again, if you're new to coaching, it's like, again, so many people will just have this blanket black and white. You can't offer a guarantee. Don't offer a guarantee. That's just stupid. No, you do what it takes to get the deal done, right? And if you come from a place of love and a place of caring about them and not you and your bank account and whether or not you're going to get canceled and you might have to do some work for free and then end up with no client because they're overwhelmed. if you do it from a place of love and protection, you'd offer it no problems, right? And when you do that, and I know that it almost maybe sounds a little bit platitudinal and yeti yeti, but like if you really genuinely embody it, just watch what happens because it will come through you in a significantly stronger way. So Road Dog, that's my answer, bud. What do you think?
Well, what do I think? When I think little cuts, I think little hands because you're a little man. So that's what I think. So there's that. So for the rest of us,
for everybody listening, I get a couple emails, more than a couple, that like people think that I'm like a midget or something. You realize that, right? Like I'm 5'6", 185 pounds, and anyway, whatever. And I'm more than happy to be short. We're good. We're good right now.
But like that the Hobbit Hotel down in South Okanagan, it's your glory, right? Like it's where you go to unwind and just reconnect. Hey, listen, on a serious note,
they used to list me as 5'8", and I'm like 5'8", and the guy who was 6'3", they made 6'5". But anyways, all right, let's keep going.
Can you give us some examples of what you were just talking about, like the market dominating position, upsells, cross sells, etc.? Can you kind of go down that path a bit?
Oh, beauty. Yeah, good. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Okay, look. There's things people. Okay, you need examples, right? Very good point, Road Dog. Thanks for this, right? So there's things people know. There's things you know, things you don't know, and things you don't know. Am I saying that right? Right. So think about that. So what you have to do is you have to connect something that they know with something they don't know, right? So this is why, okay, long-winded way of saying giving examples is absolutely critical. And then the more elementary they are and the easier they can get their head around them, the better. Because if I say, hey, Road Dog, do you have any joint venture partners? And then he says no. And in actuality, he doesn't know what the heck a joint venture partner is. Like I just connected something he doesn't know with something he doesn't know. I say you need one. So there's zero penetration, goes straight over his head. And then I don't accomplish the goal of cutting his arm, right? Because it just kind of went over his head. So market dominating position. This is what we teach. Think of it as a unique selling proposition, but it's about 100 times as powerful. And the reason is a market dominating position solves a problem for their clients, whereas a unique selling proposition will just separate you and make you different. So USP is a start and it's good, but an MDP done properly is like 1,000,000 times as effective. So like a great example is like a daycare. If you introduce me to a daycare and I say, what's the hot button of your clients with about 90% predictably, and I've done this really successfully, with about what they will say is location and price, right? With ridiculous predictability. Well, about 70 seconds of doing some homework with their client, you'll see that accountability is the major hot button of mom, right? Like she's dropping her two, and mom makes this decision, by the way, end of story. So don't appeal to dad. You appeal to mom because she's making this buying decision. Mom makes most buying decisions, by the way, in the house. But anyways, so an example of a daycare. So if it's accountability, picture this. Road Dogs owns a daycare. I own a daycare. We're 10 minutes down the road from one another. My daycare has a web watch where the parents could log on the internet, watch the kids, make sure they're safe, having fun. And you just watch missing your kid wildly, and you could pull over at the side of the road, log on your iPad and watch your kid ripping around with the other kids, right? Which daycare are you going to take your kid to, right? Depending, and one, of course, you need to be in the realm price wise, but you're going to be able to be significantly more expensive when you've got the web watch. And if you couple that with scarcity, by the way, as in we only take 50 kids, so you better put your name down. And there's a lineup. Think of the restaurant to the bar with the lineup. Everybody wants to go to that bar all of a sudden. So same thing with the daycare, but you got to go into sales mode. What do? They answer the phone. They say, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then first thing out of mom's mouth is how much? They assume that that's what she's buying on, which is just stupidity. When you went to go buy a car, the first thing that you asked, the first thing that you searched for were price, but the last thing that you bought on was price. You bought on value, not price. So anyway, so the daycare, if accountability is mom's hot button, and it is, then the market dominating position of the web watch is a bit of a game changer, right? So now you just gave the client an example. I go, Road Dog. So now how do you separate yourself? And he's thinking to himself, well, not like that, right? Like I don't have anything like that, right? I'm playing follow the leader because that's what they're all doing. And then so that would be my example of a market dominating position. So a joint venture, again, give them something real simple. They've all been to Walmart, right? So there's Walmart. You ever walked into Walmart and saw that there's a McDonald's there? That's a joint venture. You ever walked into a gas station and seen that there's a donut shop out the back? That's a joint venture. So dummy it, and then dummy it down, like the gym who has a personal trainer. Okay. That's a joint venture. The tanning salon promoting the gym, that's a joint venture. The wedding, maybe a better example, is a wedding planner who's got a relationship with a venue or a relationship with a florist, a relationship with a hairdresser. This is an example of joint ventures where they can be sending business back and forth. A realtor and a mortgage broker, it's an easy fix. This is you as a business coach having a relationship with an accountant, right? Is a total game changer. We used to run a program. We actually offer it. If you become a client of ours, we do it for free, by the way. But we used to charge a couple $1,000s to do this. I think it's an 8-hour, maybe 8-hour presentation where we taught you how to form a joint venture with an accountant. Right? We probably have 100 accountants that work with us. I co-wrote a book, Accounting 101 for Business Coaches. So I get that relationship at a pretty decent level. But at the end of the day, what we did, so we taught you how to form a joint venture with an accountant, and then it worked so well, we actually guaranteed that we would close 2 accountants for you. And I don't say that for any other reason. I just make you feel comfortable that not only can you form a relationship with an accountant, but we actually we did it so well that we guaranteed to close 2 for them, right? So think of but we had we only took 20 people, by the way. So we had scarcity. It worked really, really well. That's the bottom line. But that's an example, a business coach going in to an accountant, right? That is a joint venture. In fact, if you're a business coach listening, your 5 best joint venture partners are accountants, business brokers, networking organizations, advertising salespeople, and the Chamber of Commerce. There's your home runs. So anyway, so follow that, but joint venture. So again, I'm giving examples here, right? So that would be my example. Cross sell. That's, do you want fries with that, right? If you're a lawyer, do you want a will with that? If you sell suits, so you got a retail shop, the guy buys a suit and you sell him shoes. Upsell is, most people screw this one up, cross sell and upsell, right? So upsell is, do you want me to supersize that? That's the restaurant having a larger glass of wine. You're buying a TV and they sell you the 70-inch instead of the 50-inch or whatever. It's just the more expensive package. Pretty straightforward. I don't need to meet them to know that they don't even have a supersized version of that. Look, business is just the fundamentals done right. Your brain is like a super NASA computer, and that's why you complicate everything. That's why your clients complicate everything. And remember, your brain's primary focus is to protect you, to keep you safe. Well, that's the enemy of success, because if success is based on taking risks and putting yourself out there, then you know what I mean? Like, allowing your mind to control things guarantees that you're going to have a heck of a time. It's the fundamentals. If you have depression, right? If I just look at your sleeping patterns, your water intake, and your diet, like the foods that you put in your body, that's likely 50% of the problem right there, right? Too much. If you line up a bunch of people with depression, I'll show you a bunch of people with an alcohol problem, right? And I know, and I don't want to dismiss, I am not in any way, my brother committed suicide when I was 16 over a business failing. I understand mental health, and I'm insanely passionate about it. So I don't want to dismiss anything. Depression is a real thing, right? But bottom line, that's, if I just look at those things, the fundamentals is what I'm getting at. It's psychology, right? It's just controlling those things. And some of the fundamentals are not as obvious as the others, right? Like, this is where you need education. The gap between success and failure in business lies in education. Like Mark Benioff, right? So it's salesforce.com, absolute freaking genius. And I really enjoy following the guy. But as I look up here on my bookshelf, the book Trailblazer, it's right there staring at me. Great book, by the way. So he was mentored by Steve Jobs, right? And he tells the story of Steve Jobs telling him that he walked back into Apple when they were in trouble, and he took, and Jobs took back over. And he basically said to him, and this is a question that Tony Robbins has made famous, what business are we in? Right. And then the management basically said, well, we're in the business of making computers, which seems pretty obvious. And that would make sense on the surface. Wrong times a million, right? They would have never created the iPhone if they were in the business of computers, right? I'm going to make a meal of this, but like, they're in the business of connecting people with their passions and they do it artfully and passionately, something along those lines. But like, that's the premise of Apple. You could look that up online and do, I'm sure that it's more in depth than that. But like that statement of connecting people with passions and doing it artfully and passionately, that led them to music, which led them to the iPod. The iPod led them to the iPhone. The iPhone led them to iTunes, which you got the money that iTunes make and make your eyes water. Being in the computer business would have killed all of that progress. Without Steve Jobs and that statement, they would have never gone there, right? So, like there's also, I think importantly, there's with fear of going a little too, 30,000 feet here, like there's the business that they're in today and then the business that they're becoming, right? So I always talk about mastery. Mastery to me, and I'm happy for everybody else to have their own interpretation and definition of it, but mastery to me is competing against myself. And every day I try to just get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I find that 3 months, 90 days, a quarter, 6 months, a year fly by. And since I've started this, it's been years now, I got to tell you this, by just getting a little bit better, a little bit smarter, just educating myself a little bit with application. Knowledge is useless without application. So let's go applied education just every single day. And it's been very good for me. And I think it'd be very good for you. And it will definitely be monumentally, ridiculously powerful for your clients, right? So like losers react, winners anticipate. So as part of all that, as part of mastery, is being able to see where it's going, right? And by the way, Steve Jobs wiped out 80% of the Apple product line when they did that. So they went from 200 products to about 20. Again, I think that's an important part of that. It would be unfair to say that he didn't just go in there and say, we're in more than the business of computers, right? To be clear. And this, way better than I will ever be able to explain it. This is out there. There's case studies. You could Google it online. So yeah, and by the way, not a bad exercise. And speaking of gangster business moves, so if you help your client, or you just, again, it's always about thinking. Again, my mentor, he's always stop, think, stop, think, stop, think. I almost get sick of listening to it, but the power is just like mind-boggling, incredible. We just, again, it's Monday as we record this, right? On Sunday, we get together, do a couple hours, and it's just, 10 times through. Okay, let's stop and think. Let's stop and think. So anyway, like a gangster business mood is to help them create something that increases value with every new user, right? So think about this. When you buy a car and then you drive it off the parking lot, right? Or the car lot, whatever you call it, right? What happens? 25%, if not more, or maybe a little less, whatever, but gets wiped off the value immediately. In fact, you don't even have to drive it off the lot. You just sign the papers. It's now a used car. Game over, right? Don't even open the door. It's worth 25% less. When you open toothpaste or you buy milk and you open it, anything at the grocery store, you open it, peaches, whatever, I don't know, peaches, whatever. You open it, it's game over. The thing literally has zero value. You ever bought a bottle of water and the lid was open? You take it straight back and go, hey, what's going on? This thing was open, right? So that is most things, right? Whereas Facebook, the more people that get on it, the better that it gets, right? Google, the more things that you search, and Google has like, I don't know what it is, but something like a number of thousands of entries on Google every day are brand new, never been searched before. So what happens is every time somebody goes to Google and punches in whatever they punch in, they better understand search algorithms or what it is that you're looking for, right? Or the more clients that Netflix get, the more data that they compile, the more functional Netflix becomes to find you something to watch, right? Because you do it, I do it, Road Dogg does it. We go to Netflix and we now rely on it to help us find a movie, right? So, and then, by the way, through that data, Netflix is now in the business of creating shows. So by gathering the data, they now know what shows their ideal clients want, right? What I'm describing is network effects, right? I've spoken to it previously, significantly more in depth than this, and it is absolutely gangster stuff. And if you want to, for your local restaurant, is it going to be helpful? I don't know, maybe, because again, the more, when they have events and then the more people that come, you tell me, if the more people that come and the bigger the lineup, do people want to get in more, right? But that's a bad example because they only have X capacity, whereas Facebook has no limit to their capacity, right? But thinking by changing your thinking along these lines, I think can be incredibly powerful. And again, it's network effects. It's a super powerful play. Like what we're doing, like we're building actually the foundational example of network effects. Okay, because again, I want to connect something you maybe don't know, which is network effects, to something you do know, right? So what you do know is your phone. Well, if you bought a phone and no one else had a phone, you'd have a useless tool, right? If I had a phone and Road Dog had a phone, it would be handy for him and I, and we'd have like a walkie-talkie, but it's not very functional, right? If everybody in Canada and everybody in America and everybody in North America has a phone, suddenly we have a very useful tool. When everybody in the world has a phone, this is game changing, right? Totally game changing. So that is network effects. The more people that have it, the better it is. Like I've built what I think is the world's largest private coaching group, right? We have 900 professional coaches that pay to play. All of them, nobody is in our network without paying. So again, there's a higher level of commitment, and these are professionals. Like every new person, they teach us something through their feedback. There's an inbuilt feedback loop through our clients as we train them. They use the tools, they use the software, they organically help us improve it, right? So there's an inbuilt feedback loop, which if you understand feedback loops, which is a whole other topic. And again, we've covered that, Road Dog and others, so I won't go down the rabbit hole, but just so powerful to create a feedback loop. In fact, you know what? I can't say feedback loop and then not say this. A coach asked me, I'm making $100,000 and I want to make $500,000. What's the answer? This was one of the answers that I gave on a podcast a long time ago. And my answer was a feedback loop. Okay. That's how you go from 100 to 500. What do I mean? When a coach goes from $100,000 to $200,000, they buy a 5 Series BMW, start flying first class, and act like a big shot on Facebook. What I recommend, and I am in no way in the business of telling you how you should and should not operate your business, and more to the point, your personal life, but they buy a boat. What you should do is you should go from 100 to 200, spend an extra 20 grand of the 100, like you went from 1 to 200, take 20 of that and spoil your wife and take the kids on a holiday. Okay. Take the other 80 grand and buy advertising, spend money on mentors, join elite programs. Like take the money and find a way to spend money on advertising, as an example, to build your coaching practice. That's what you should do. Like we're, hiring new staff members and software engineers and taking our software to totally new heights. And we have a feedback loop through our client, right? So bottom line is that we have a group coaching program. The more people enter it, the better it becomes. They're helping our clients. We're helping them. They then, that feedback loops come back to, they can help our other clients at a higher level, right? Everybody's in a private Facebook group, super powerful. And that's, by the way, why I'm building group coaching software, which again, the more people in your group coaching program, the better it is, the more functional it is, the better it is for the other folks, the more energy on your calls. So that's why we're building group coaching software that will be released shortly. But the bottom line is just your client's not thinking like this. They're playing follow the leader with the competition, and that is a recipe for disaster. So Road Dog, a little bit of a rabbit hole there, bud, but examples of upsells, downsells, cross sells. I think I gave a bunch of those, and the reason you do that is not so because your client, again, there's things they know, things they know they don't know, and things they don't know. You've got to connect something that they don't know with something they know. If you want to get penetration, if you want them to be able to hang up the phone from your coaching call and then being able to deploy on their own, that's the X factor. So there you go, Shoots. What do you think, bud?
So I'm going to change directions a little bit here. Obviously, based on, again, depending on when people are listening to this, but inflation is a real concern for a lot of people. Would you agree with that? Like, is that sort of something that maybe you're hearing more about?
Big, yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of relevant, and that's why I thought I'd pull in this question here, because with inflation in mind, like, do you think more and more people will outsource to China and or wherever, I guess, really? And should I help my clients start looking there to decrease their costs?
Ooh, yes. Okay. You said something. Okay. So here's what people probably don't know. Africa is becoming China's China. Okay. The cost of manufacturing in China is going up. It's going up big time. And China is now outsourcing to Africa. Again, think anticipation one step above. I've got 6 full-time staff that live in Africa, by the way. Like America and Europe are going to struggle to compete because they're still going to China and then China's going to Africa. So again, we've declined to build infrastructure in Africa, right? I said this recently. That USA is the world's greatest brand, and that realistically no one will surpass them, because who else is going to step in, right? Because like China's not really taken seriously. Does anybody, when you think of China, right, do you really think of somebody as a global superpower, right? And they will be taken seriously when they step in and become the world's big brother, and that's why USA is the greatest brand on the planet, because they're literally seen as big brother, right? Well, things change quickly. And over 10,000 people a day, depending upon when you're listening to this, but right now, as I write, 10,000 people a day are dying in India, and it's getting worse, right? Healthcare workers are dying. All the things that you heard about last year with the coronavirus when it came, you know what I mean? It's all gripping India and fear. And if you're wondering why India, they've got 1 billion people. Okay, so like, don't kid yourself. This thing is very real. I know some people are like, "Oh, it's a flu, this, that, and the other." Like, just don't kid yourself. Don't watch Facebook and listen to this, that, and the other. We have lots of doctors that live on my street. Well, lots. I don't know. I think we have 5 doctors. But bottom line is, this thing is very real. You don't want it. The USA in the past would have been in to save India in droves and quick, right? But nowadays, like stepping in to help India, like that is actually importantly, India, to frame it up here, this is a world, we'll call it a superpower. And you might not think of it that way, but do your homework. It's 1 billion people there. Well, it's the world's fastest growing economy, right? So to step in and help would make so much sense. But guess who is stepping in? Don't listen to me, right? Go do your own homework. But let me just tell you, I'll save you the Google search. China is stepping in. They have sent over 200 million vaccine doses globally. I'm not sure exactly how many to India, but it's a lot. And partly due to disorganization and some leadership issues, in my opinion, right? USA has sent how many? Almost 0, right? This should be a concern, in my opinion. Might be getting a little political here, but I got to tell you, it is you to go do your own homework. But what I see when I look at the entire playing field, which I think is a very smart thing to do, China is becoming big brother to India. India and China end up joining forces. Look out, as far as USA continuing as a superpower, which, believe me, is very much in our best interests. And if you've heard that the virus was created in a lab, and then you looked at the entire playing field, I don't know. That concerns the heck out of me. And economic power is political power. So China, 1 billion people. India, 1 billion people. Right? America, roughly 360 million people. Right? Canada, 35 million people. Right? Like, we got less than 400,000 people. They've got 2 billion. Economic power is political power. We got some interesting times. So bottom line, to answer the question, it's inevitable unless there is a major shift. Outsourcing to China, look, cut out the middleman and go straight to Africa. It's something that your client should be considering. So I guess I'm answering this in a different way, but yes, you should be thinking outsourcing. Like everybody's so happy that they can suddenly work. Like, if you look at, again, the entire playing field and rise up 30,000 feet, everybody's so excited because they can now work from their home office and they're from home, right? 3 days a week, 5 days a week. They can literally become virtual and they can get more done. Well, okay. So, and I agree, that's happening. We're seeing it, right? If this thing would have only lasted 6 months, we wouldn't have got here. But it's lasted a year and a half, whatever, whatever it is. All of a sudden, people are getting more, a lot of commercial real estate. It's like, you know what? Let's just cut the lease, pay the penalty. We're all good. Well, if that's the case, guess what? Your job is going to be able to be outsourced to India, China, Asia, etc. Right? Like, so I don't know. The world's becoming a smaller and smaller place. The view from the entire playing field is an interesting one. So I'm going to say yes, Road Dog. I'm going to say yes, Shoots. You should be thinking about these things. If you want, like I said, I have staff that live in Africa. There's It's not by accident. So there you go, Shoots.
So just with that though, Karl, let me ask you, like, relating it back into the business of coaching.
Yep.
Like, what does inflation mean for the economy and specifically to business coaching, right, as a whole? Like, how do you, because again, we want to tie this into coaches.
Yep.
There's the economy, sure, maybe touch on that, but how does this all tie into that and business coaching as a whole?
Yeah. So, look, well, I just tell you, people are saying don't worry about inflation, and that is insane advice. Inflation is here. It's coming thick and fast. Take that to the bank, and you've got to help your clients prepare for it. It's bad for the American economy. I got to tell you, the North American economy. To understand inflation, look, to understand the economy, or to understand inflation, you got to understand the economy, and to stop yourself and your clients from making kind of stupid mistakes, which, the stupid tax. Understanding the economy. So let me just, like, a 101. You got to understand one thing: CPI, Consumer Price Index. Just divide the base year into the current year. Okay, so 2020 into 2021. What did you spend last year on food, housing, entertainment, cars, medical, holidays, etc.? Divide that into this year. So if you spent 100K last year, I know that's a lot, but whatever. Spent 100 grand last year, and this year you spent 104. That's 4%, right? So that would be the CPI, and then they calculate it monthly, by the way. So number one is understand the Consumer Price Index and follow it. You just Google it and be staring at you. And then number two, think of the economy like seasons, as in like the weather: winter, spring, summer, and then fall. The economy does the same, and it will always follow the pattern. And by the way, so does your mood. A lot of people who have anger issues and depression, they're right after anger, happiness follows, right? And they just do this constant turn, right? So, and some winters and summers are better and worse than others, right? But you're an idiot to think that winter won't come after summer, right? So it's coming. And fall, by the way, well, yeah. So they're going to come in order. It's coming, and kind of like, here it is. Like, there's an economic price to be locked in your house for 12 months, right? So maybe just the one, like during spring. Okay, so let's go to these seasons, right? So during spring, inflation is low, like 2%. GDP is growing at about 2 to 3%. Unemployment is low. And you're experiencing what would be referred to as a bull market, right? So stocks are going up, is what that means. Summer season is like, GDP's at like 4% and above. Don't hold me to these numbers, right? But you want to have a guide, right? So think like real estate and stocks are overpriced. This is when a hockey card sells for 3 million. This is the season that you're in, right? This all happens during summer. So this is when everybody thinks, the house flipper is a genius, right? But real investors know, like people of wealth know, that he's about to lose his ass, right? You show me a house flipper and I'll show you somebody. And of course, on average, and yes, there's a guy who made it, and congratulations, high five, God bless you, right? But generally speaking, house flippers get caught with their pants down, and it ends poorly. And just do your own homework. Don't listen to me. Go check it out. But in a nutshell, that was 2008, right? How'd that look? Number of people got caught with their pants down big time. And then fall, GDP's below 2%, unemployment is high, and that would be 5% and above. The stock market drops, and guys like, Jim Cramer and these talking heads on TV start uttering words like recession, right? Winter's a period where all this comes to fruition. The shit hits the fan. Real estate drops, stocks drop. People lose their jobs, right? Recession, potentially depression. Like, I trust this one's obvious, right? But good news, when winter hits, guess what's coming? Okay, spring, and then what's going to follow that? Summer. So everything goes back up. And the good news is, or maybe it's the bad news if you're not paying attention and you don't follow this kind of advice, it happens fast. This is where, like, Kennedys, the Rockefellers, Templetons, the richest families in the world were created, right? So yeah, look, inflation, there's three reasons for inflation: print, cost, and demand, right? So print is when the government prints money, right? Cost inflation is when wages increase. If you own a trucking company and gas increases, and by the way, everything you have in your house, look around, everything was packaged up in a truck, right? You might not realize that, but everything was packaged up in a truck. So when gas prices go up, they need to raise their prices. Rent increases, the costs go up. It costs more to run a business. These increases will get passed to the end consumer, except, of course, when the ones that are asleep at the wheel I've used an example of a restaurant a lot, like where the price of lobster goes up and then they don't raise their prices and they're dishing out lobster thinking they're making all this money. But in reality, they're making very slim margins because the cost of the lobster went through the roof because it's very seasonal, right? And the profit when they're asleep at the wheel, profits get swallowed up. And I said earlier, what is a magic pill of the greatest brands that you know of? Apple, Ferrari, Louis Vuitton, etc. The richest people in the world, one word, margin, right? But without a business coach, without you, the business owner, they're thinking about lowering their prices, not raising them. And it's not about raising their prices. It's about um, increasing value, right? Simple example, when you bought a car, you looked at price first, you bought on value with 100% certainty. Otherwise, we'd all drive $2,000 Pintos, right? So that's cost. So demand inflation. So I just went over cost inflation, demand inflation. Look, when Trump recently lowered capital gains tax and corporate taxes, right? People had more money to spend, and they did. They went out and bought, houses and cars, and instead of housing getting, two offers, they got five, and you spent an extra 30 grand on the house, and you were okay with that because there was a massive amount of scarcity, and you didn't want to miss the house, right? So that's demand inflation, pretty straightforward. And then print inflation. This one you're experiencing $6 trillion have been printed recently. What did we think was going to happen? Inflation is through the roof, and you need to make sure your clients are adjusting. So, Road Dog, to your point, very timely question, timely point. Like the Fed and then the government control inflation, right? So their goal is to keep it at about 2%. So, like people don't like. There's whatever number of banks. Like there's 5,000 banks in the USA, right? The Fed own 80% of them, right? They don't realize that they don't own them outright. They're partners in 80% of them. So like what most people don't realize when they raise rates or lower the rates, they're encouraging you to borrow and subsequently you borrow the money to what? To spend it, right? And that keeps the economy ticking. And then the government will raise and lower taxes, right? Or they provide regulation or deregulation to stimulate growth, or they do what they just did recently, print money, right? And by the way, they also spend money on things like infrastructure, which is what think of bridges and highways and that sort of stuff, which create an enormous amount of jobs and an enormous amount of wealth and a better environment, like, for the particular city that spends the money, people can get places quicker. Therefore, it becomes a more abundant place, right? So there's second, third, fourth order consequences. Look, all this to say, what should you be worried about? Look, Road Dog, in the early 80s, mortgage rates, and remember my dad talks about this, like we bought a house, he's paying like 18% mortgage, right? Like mortgage rates were like 15 to 20%. Unemployment was over 10%. The stock market didn't grow. And again, don't listen to me. Go do your own homework. Maybe I'm categorically wrong, and I'm happy to be, but I'm not. For 20 years, I repeat, 20 years. Like, so how would you what do you think would happen if the stock market from today didn't go up for 20 years? This is not a good dynamic, right? And why would that? That's inflation. Forget inflation. What about hyperinflation? Venezuela, again, do your homework. In the last 10 years, I don't know what it is, but their inflation has gone up like, 20, 30, 40, it might be 50,000%. Like not 50, 100%, like 50,000% inflation, right? Translation, their economy is an absolute joke, right? So when you see oil and gas raise 50% over a short period of time, go do your own homework and you tell me how much it's gone up in the last short period of time. You need to educate your high-end coaching clients. They need to see this. And I'm not saying there's going to be hyperinflation. I don't want to get all dramatic here, but I'll just tell you this. Ignorance is not bliss, right? Ignorance is not bliss for you, for your family, for your friends, for those people close to you, and definitely not for your high-end coaching clients. So, yeah. And by the way, let's end with some good news here. So, what goes well? Like during inflation, what things are going to go up? Yeah. What do you want to expect? Remember, if you go back and listen to the like our podcast, Road Dog, you and I had a chat at roughly it would be March last year. I said, look, watch, people are going to start spending money on their houses like crazy. And we talked about a business of going into backyard, like doing office renovations inside homes and then building outdoor offices. And I'm like, that business will go through the roof. The end, drop the mic. Just if you're looking for a business idea, go into that one and you'll do well. We said it in March. Now have a look. You go do your own homework and tell me if I'm proven to be right. Right? It was a so with that being said, during inflation, what's going to go up? Like things that you can't replace go up. So real estate is going to go up. Houses going to go up. Condos going to go up. Land is definitely going to go up. Collectibles like hockey cards and fine art, again, can't be duplicated. There was a hockey card Wayne Gretzky just sold for $3 million. Right? This is crazy, crazy. I believe the guy bought it publicly for $1 million, just sold it for $3 million. Crypto, by the way, I personally believe will do well. Again, we said, do I just bottom line? If you're going to invest in crypto, you need to just put your money in there. Dollar cost average, which means you take an amount, just call it like $100 a week or $1,000 a week, and every week on Friday or Monday, it automatically goes in. So that way, when it goes up, you'll buy poorly. When it goes down, which it is right now, you'll buy well, and it will so you dollar cost average it. And that's the way to make money off of it, in my opinion. But again, not financial advice. Do whatever the heck you want to do. Do your own homework, educate yourself. But crypto, I see a bright future for it because crypto is about trust. You tell me, it's trust and scarcity. We talked about this, Road Dog. Trust and scarcity. You tell me if you trust the government, and then you tell me if there's scarcity with the US dollar. And you're going to get a resounding no and no. Well, then that's a problem. Then what's the solution? I believe that solution is crypto, maybe silver, by the way, also, but hey, do your own homework. The stock market will rise because there's all this money out there, but the problem is the dollar is decreasing in value, so it's inflation, right? I don't know. Bottom line, look, and some great advice. Don't like sitting on cash right now. You see, if you follow Robert Kiyosaki, he's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He always talks about how, sitting on cash is not a good plan. That being said, though, sitting on cash and expecting things to dump, like if you could buy that much better in a short period of time, then that's strategic and not so bad. But sitting on cash right now, if you got $1 million, whatever, $100,000 in the bank account 3 months ago, and then today, it's now worth less today than it was 3 months ago. So that means you're losing money on your cash. So anyway, so investing, you got to learn how. You want to become wealthy, you need to learn how to do one thing, and that is invest your money, which most people don't. But that takes homework, that takes education, it takes applied education. Road Dog, anyways, went a little. So the economy, inflation. Sorry, I got to understand the economy to understand inflation, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Our listeners, if you're a business coach, you should understand inflation and what it means to your clients, because there's some very real and tangible applications of this thing. So there you go, Shoots. What do you think, bud?
So it's funny. I actually had a GIC, which is the equivalent to basically a CD in the States, back in the early 90s at 12%. If you can believe it, a GIC at 12%. It's so crazy, right? Because you look at it and you're like, man, don't you wish that those investments had that? Today it's like, yeah, but what were mortgage rates at? It's like they're probably sitting around, 10%, right?
Exactly.
So it is funny how all that sort of pans out. But hey, listen, is there if you had to pick again one thing, right? Let's do the one thing here. One thing from today's show that people can implement into their business today. What do you think that would be?
I think where we started, I think we started with that guarantee, which I think is a good question. And remember, so what I said and what I would encourage you to be thinking, you think that when you think of a guarantee, you're normally thinking, I want to get the deal done, so I'm going to offer a guarantee. I want you to think you always do more for others than you do for yourself. I want you to change your psychology, change your approach. And I want you to think about that guarantee from a place of helping the client, protect the client like a child, right? And it's like, you know what? If you don't perform, they don't perform. It doesn't work. Give them a get out clause. You're going to learn, right? Like every coaching client I ever took on, I learned something incredibly valuable. And if you were to ask me, I had, guys that were business coaches, and then I went to one level and they didn't get there. The gap, the reason why, it's that I was in the business of learning. Like when I was coaching my client, I wasn't there going through the motions. I was there trying to work it out, what they knew that I didn't know, what I could learn from them that I could apply to other similar clients in different markets, in different industries, et cetera. So offering a guarantee is, I think that's, worthy. And again, if you're new, Like if you've only got 2 clients and then somebody is giving you advice that you shouldn't offer a guarantee, I just challenge them. It's like, should you coach somebody for free? An example I always use, like Tom Brady. We haven't talked about Tom Brady in a while, by the way, but it was a Tom Brady threw the football for free for a little while before he started getting paid, right? Like I think you could probably stand to coach a few people and not get paid because you took the approach that your goal was to become the best. Right. Again, actually, we talked about this either last week or the week before, but like Jim Carrey, who I think is a fabulous, unbelievable actor, but he did Man on the Moon, which was a very dramatic role, very outside of, the Ace Ventura, liar, liar, etc., where he's just a goof. And basically he honed his craft. I mean, his goal was to be the best actor. So as a business coach, if you stop trying to, you know what I mean, like get clients and you started honing your craft, or maybe what you do is you break up your week or your day and you spend 25% of it educating yourself and the other 70, like 25% educating yourself, 25% doing coaching calls, and then 50% prospecting and building your company, etc. That might not be a bad framework, but spend, like Warren Buffett will tell you, every day he reads and he learns. Bill Gates, love him or hate him, irrelevant. The guy's a trillionaire, not by accident. Well, his divorce cut that, but whatever. Very smart guy. You'd be crazy to think that he's not, a genius, not only smart, but a genius. He goes on reading vacations. Zuckerberg has a, what do you call it? Like a book club, right? So reading, educating yourself, superpower, man. So anyways, yeah, the guarantee, Road Dog, but I think the approach, the psychology shift is do it to protect your client. Do it because you give a shit, because you care. That's the X factor. So there you go, Road Dog. That's my answer, Shoots.
I love how you're picking like Gates, Zuckerberg, all the people everyone loves right now, right? Like that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
You forgot Musk in there too. But anyways, listen, and no, I thought we had cleared that Tom Brady hurdle at this stage. So I didn't think it was necessary to have to continuously go back to talk about Tom Brady for one. But hang on, just real quick on a serious note, I think you made something, and again, you sort of skipped over it, and I think this is sort of really, really, really important. You made the point of you never stop learning, which if I'm asking myself a better question is, well, what does that look like inside the actual coaching? And to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that to me looks like Karl went in not pretending to have all of the answers and looking to be the guy that just knows everything. He went in curious, wanting to learn more with a solid framework and foundation of skill sets and looking to build upon that. Am I seeing that correctly?
Times a million. Like that what you just described, that's the X factor, man, right there. That's they don't look, if you go in there, it's like, again, you watch a professional speaker, they will walk on stage, including Tony Robbins, and they tear themselves down a little bit. They tell you straight up, I don't have all the answers, right? Like that's the secret. Some of the most successful guys that you follow, like I know a guy that's been in jail and now he's crushing it, but he tells everybody, but he's been in jail, right? So yeah, no, going in there and pretending like you got all the answers. What's the I saw a saying recently. What was it? If it's something to the effect of follow the guy who's searching for the answers, and the guy or gal who pretends like they've got the answer, this is a bad thing. This is a really, really bad thing, right? So yeah, don't do that. Don't be just, again, they'll appreciate it. But that being said, okay, but don't go in there. Like if they think you don't know what the hell you're talking about or what you're doing, then that's not going to work. So part of the magic is like the process we just followed. Like I'm doing a Q&A. Do you have a joint venture, Road Dog? You say no. I give you an example. I do a high level Walmart example, and then I do a low level florist or, gym example. So like I'm educating you. So when I say to you that I don't have all the answers, it's actually bringing more credence and more power to my examples earlier, right? You know what I mean? Because I must be dead honest, or like I'm not that charlatan that the guy, and they've met plenty of them. So anyways, so that absolutely, Road Dog, high five. And it's the secret sauce, man. Don't have.
Stop
I don't
trying
have
to be
all
a
the answers.
savior.
You don't have all the answers. We're not pretending to.
Right, and stop trying to be a savior. Like at the end of the day, like that's just not gonna pan out. There's one guy that walked on water, and it sure wasn't Karl Bryan. He does. Trust me, folks. Karl cannot walk. It just appears that way because of the proximity to the. Anyways, all right. That's it for another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, Mr. King Karl. And if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, just want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone that you think might make a great coach. And of course, as always, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify and others give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. And here we are wrapping it up for another week. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.